I should get ready for my own tweet. Hello, everyone. Hi.
Hello.
Do exclamation marks. So we are live. We are going to be discussing our September Diversity Readers Book Club Pick of the Month, which is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I'm so excited to discuss this book with all of you guys. So if you want to start, both of you, by introducing yourself and your channel names and maybe some of your brief thoughts on the book, whether you liked it, emotional reactions, things like that. You want to start, Molly?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Molly. I'm from Little Blue Bookworm, and this is the second Adam Silvera book that I've read, and I loved it. It was such an emotional roller coaster, and it was also just one of those books that you could like sit down and just all of a sudden you were done with it. And it definitely made me cry.
Yeah, truth. Hi, I'm Emily. If you've seen me before, I've done the past 4 live shows. Wow, 4 live shows. We've done 4 already. That's
Wow,
crazy.
that's a lot.
Yeah. Right? This book. How do I start? It was heart-wrenching. It really brought out all the feels. My heart hurt. I was definitely in tears multiple times during the book. It was very unexpected, just like most of his books. And but it was unexpected in the expected way, if that makes sense. You know what was gonna happen, but you know he's a plot twister, and so you know he's gonna do something else, but he does what you think. It's very complicated.
Yeah, no,
and
I
so
get what you mean. I get what you mean.
yeah, so good. But yes, this book, I always say that for every book we read, but it was such a good book. Yeah. Okay, so and then Gabby. Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Gabby, and I'm from the channel Gabby Way. Whoa, I messed up my own channel name. Killing it today. From the channel Gabby Y Books. So I absolutely loved TV Date. I've read all of Adam's past novels before, and I was incredibly excited about this one. It was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. So the minute that it came out, I had to get my hands on it. I reviewed this book for Teen Reads. I work for them. I'm one of their bloggers on the teen board. So I have a non-spoiler review that'll be linked down below if you want to go and check that out and have a lot more of my thoughts there in a non-spoilery fashion. For those of you that won't be able to join the live show because you haven't read the book yet and don't want to be spoiled, that's something you can check out. But I love this book. I think that I'm a lot more impressed by Adam in terms of his writing style with this book, and the fact that he has a lot more different I don't necessarily know the best word, but inventions and places that he creates. I feel are really interesting and add a lot to the world because it's a futuristic present day society. And I thought a lot of that was really interesting. And the world was it was incredibly heartbreaking in a way, Emily said before, where you know what's happening, but you're still so drawn in. And Adam manages to take this entire world and just twist it and absolutely just mercilessly destroy his audience as he knows how to do best. So we're all really, really excited to discuss this book with you guys. If you want to leave questions down below in the chat, if you want to ask questions on Twitter using the hashtag TBDiversity, and you can tag me, we'll answer them there. We're really, really excited to get to discuss. So let's start with any questions that you guys have. There's one from Twitter, I believe, that says, is there any funny parts in this book? I will say there is, because I think that's one of the good things about Adam is he's able to take humor and tragedy and sort of blend them together really nicely. So he does give you some comedic reliefs at points. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Adam is definitely a very funny person. As much as he is heartbreaking, he is very funny, and he, is very good at putting humor into situations that wouldn't necessarily have humor, like making characters say things that, don't feel appropriate in the situation, but also do. And so I think there's definitely a lot of humor in this book as well as heartbreak.
Yeah. Adam's like Molly said, it's humor and heartbreak. It's literally living your whole life in one day, and Adam does that beautifully. He does everything you want to do in your whole entire life, and you just get it done. It's the different places they go, the experiences they make. They're random strangers, yet they've come the closest of friends, even closer than friends. And it was just such a beautiful book.
you want them to have more time to grow and develop and see more funny moments. And it was devastating, but it was so beautiful and funny, and it was a beautiful book.
Yeah. Do you guys just want to get right into discussing the ending? Because I have so many thoughts. I just want to dive right into it. Like, let's not even bother to waste any time, because if we can get into other things that we decide that we want to discuss later. But like this ending.
Oh my god, this ending was literally heartbreaking. Like, I didn't think that's the way it was going to end. Like, I knew, you know, from the title, obviously, how it ends, but the way that it ended was just so heartbreaking, and I didn't expect it. Like, as I was reading it, I was like, this isn't real. It's not happening.
Right.
So, yeah, it was definitely, like, shocking.
It was a cliffhanger almost. Like, it didn't end mid-sentence, but like it ended mid-sentence. Like no one was there to watch him. I thought they were gonna die together.
Affliction of imperial afflictions. Yeah.
Yes.
I thought they were gonna die together, but they didn't. And that was so much more heartbreaking. And like,
because like here's the thing is like I was expecting, like, going into this, it's called They Both Die at the End. You think they're both going to die at the end. Like, that's the initial impression. But your question is, like, how and why and what? Like, you're wondering,
and
okay,
when,
how is this?
Like, together?
Yeah. Because the thing about Adam that's so brilliant is that he keeps all of these twists and turns going. So there's, like, the first strike where they are in the bookstore and then that bomb goes off and you think they're going to die there. Like, you're expecting that. And then you have the second strike, which is when, oh my God, the rival gang comes after Rufus and think that they're going to shoot him, and you think that they're both going to go down at that point. And so after those two strikes, you're like, okay, well, there's strike three. Something has to happen. Now, if they've avoided it twice, like, they have to die at the end. Like, when's it going to happen? And you're reading the book, and you have this moment where they're together, and it's like, okay, we only have so many pages left. And then Mateo gets up and he goes to the stove, and immediately, like the minute that he went to the stove, it clicked because Adam mentions at the beginning of the book that the stove was broken. And there was this moment where I just gasped and I was like, oh no, because I knew exactly where it was going. And then it happened and it made me really upset because my initial theory was that in this book, Mateo's father, who have the same name, like Mateo was named after his father, is in a coma. And what my thought was going to be is that when Deathcast was calling, that they were calling for his father, and his father was going to be the one that dies at the end, because it just says they, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I was hoping for that, because I was thinking, like, what if there's some way to get out of this? But Adam's not going to be nice to us.
No, Adam's
I was hoping, but I was like, So another thing, too, that I entirely missed when I was reading this book, and it wasn't until I went back and I was with some of my friends and we were talking about the book, is at the very end of the book, like the last page, it says that, and this is from Rufus's point of view, because at this point Mateo's already dead, and he says, I crossed the street without an arm to hold me back. And so I was like, oh my gosh, Rufus doesn't technically die at the end. Like, what happened? And I was thinking, like, he's going to the park, and there was another woman there who spent her entire day thinking that this call from Deathcast was a joke. And so she was there, and I was thinking, if he's heading there, something's going to happen to them, and that's where they both die. But then my friends pointed out to me, he got hit by a car, and so the book ends with him getting hit by a car, like, as he crosses the street.
You didn't realize that?
No, I didn't realize it until, like, my friends explained it to me, because I was like, oh, okay, he's heading to the park and something will happen to him there. Why don't we know how he dies? Like, why did Adam decide to do that? And it just, like, I don't know why it didn't click, but I was like, oh my God. So that officially, then I went back and I looked at it, and it just made me feel hurt, because I felt so betrayed that, like, I wasn't even, like, bright enough to realize that or, like, make the connection. So this ending was quite a wild ride for me, but it was good. I loved it. I think it was smart.
Yeah.
There's,
and like
okay, so some people like to read at the end of the last line. You cannot read the last line for this book. Like, you can't.
No, and I can speak to that because I am one of those people. I have that problem where, like, you know, sometimes you read the last page or the last, I don't do it with every book, but like some books. And I did not do that with this book just because the title enough is like, you know how it ends. You don't need to know anything more than what the title tells you. So yeah, definitely don't do that.
So we have some more questions. This one's from Nellie from District 12. And she says, is there a character in They Both Die at the End that you could relate to? So one, do you think you connect to like Rufus, Mateo, one of the other minor characters? Nobody at all? Why?
That's a hard question.
Yeah. I feel like if Mateo and Rufus and who is Rufus's ex-girlfriend? What's her name?
This is like the horrible thing about reading this book really early in the month is that like I always forget the characters.
Amy. Rufus, Amy. I'm so stupid. Okay, so if Rufus, Mateo, and Amy had a child, that's me. Yes. They're each unique characters. Like I didn't really relate to any single one of them. Like I had bits of pieces of each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think there was a specific one that I was like, this is me, or I can really relate to that. I liked Mateo, like in his point of view and the way he saw the world, just because like, you know, it kind of felt like he was dealing with a lot of anxiety and a lot of like worrying about what other people were thinking, and I think we can all relate to that at some point in our lives. And so I would say he was probably the most relatable out of all of them for me, but I didn't really connect with any of them like on a deep level.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's hard to connect to a lot of the characters in this book because the situations that they're going through are so unimaginable compared to like the way that we live our lives. But I absolutely loved Mateo, and I feel like I do relate to him in some ways. Like the fact, like there's this one scene in the book where he's looking in his bookshelf and he knows it's his end day and there's gonna be all these books he's not gonna be able to read, and he like goes and like trashes his room. Like that would be me, because I would be like so frustrated over the fact that I like there'd be all these unread books on my shelf, and so like that I felt like I really related to. But I just loved his character too. Like there's this beautiful moment in the very beginning of the book where Rufus and Mateo, and I talked about this in my review, are walking down the street, and Mateo wants to bury the dead bird, and it's just like such a beautiful moment. Like it was like the first hurt your heart moment, like the moment where it really hit me. And I would never do that because I don't like dead birds or like dead animals in general. But like I liked like the meaning behind it, like the emotion and sentiment behind it felt me. Like,
when you bring up that scene too, at that time, I feel like I could relate to Rufus a lot too at that point in time, because he was kind of like, this is weird, but like also really sweet, and like he didn't really know how to feel, but he felt like, you know, he knew that this was going to be something special, and I thought that was just like a real moment, you know.
That scene is when you like really see how different they are, but like how they can come together so easily. And you're joking. Yes. So I see we have another question from Monica Book Lover. If you knew you were going to die, what would be the last thing you would do? So if like death cast at you up, like, hey, you're dying today. What'd you guys do? Try to read as many books as possible. Like, like get that audible on like 500 times speed. Get all the books done. Yeah. That they had so many different places to do things to do. Like they had the safe like bungee jumping or whatever. Even though that was like very fake, like they weren't as enthused. But the travel the world thing, I love that so much. If I was going to die, I'd want to do that. Like they gave you some opportunities to live your life.
Yeah.
I think honestly I would just do what Rufus originally wanted to do and like spend his day with his family. I would want to do that. I don't think I would take the time, like as much as I love books and everything, I don't think I'd take that time. I would just spend it with the people that I loved.
Yeah, I feel like I'd probably do that. Like I know I have book friends that like I can talk to, like I possibly do something with them. Yeah, friends, family possibly want to do that. But I would want to go to my local bookstore just because I love it there, and it's like definitely a place I would miss because I need books a part of my end day because they're such a large part of my life. I would possibly go and see a Broadway show because like at this point I'm going to die. Why not be exorbitant? Because especially having in Chicago, because I probably want to spend my end day in Chicago just because it's such a great city and there's like so much to do. But I feel like it'd be a very easy way to then end up dying because it does have lots of danger aspects to it. But yeah, that's definitely like a lot of the same books. Like that.
I just have some notes that I was going through, and so just to, if anything we need to talk about. But I love the fact that they like he switched the point of view, so it wasn't just
that was one of the things I wanted
like,
to talk about. Yeah, because I wasn't expecting that at all, so I thought that was a good.
Yeah, same. Yeah, and like, but we had the girl from the fake safety thing who was going to defy Death Cast, but then she saw Rivers and Mateo, and she was like, you know what? I'm happy they're living their life. And then we had
that scene really hit me. Just
in
general, it was literally 2 pages, but like them being happy was enough to make her like rethink her life, and that was just amazing.
Yeah, because that kind of reminded me. I feel like this book was really similar to The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, because that book also has like that type of narrative in there, and the fact that you're seeing different points of view, it takes place within the span of 24 hours. I feel like they're relatively similar stories, except this is obviously more sad. But you could argue The Sun Is Also a Star is kind of sad too. But like, I love seeing that somebody's actions, as minimalistic as it can be, can strongly affect somebody else, because I feel like that's really important. It gets you to think about your own life and like your actions and the things that you do and how they impact others. So yeah, I liked how that played into the story, and just the different point of views in general, just because I feel like it gave you a good idea as to what different people were experiencing having to live in this world, not just our 2 main characters, and how they all came into contact with each other. It wasn't just entirely random people. All of the people played into Rufus and Mateo's story in some way, shape, or form. So I thought it was smart. I liked it.
Yeah, I really liked how he showed that your life can brush up against other people's and it still has like such an effect on them, and just the domino effect of life. It was just really cool to see. I feel like it enriched the world a lot more too, because you got to see the world instead of just these 2 characters.
Yeah, we saw the bomber, the guy that was like, I'm taking everyone with me, and that moment actually hit me too, because like it was like you kind of knew something was gonna happen, and a character died. We like saw briefly. I forget exactly who, but I remember one of them died. But like he expanded this world to so much more, and even though I loved having so many multiple characters, it also left a lot of unfinished endings, I feel. But it was good. Like, it's not like a bad unfinished ending. It's like you want more. You want to see what happened. Like, I want to know what happened with the girl and her fiance. I want to know what happened with I want to see how she's living her life now. I want her if she quit her job. I want to see if Mateo's dad wakes up, or if they get a call and one day later and be like, Mateo's gonna die.
Yeah, I totally would have thought that Mateo's dad would have woken up, just because I feel like having him in a coma, like that there was some significance there that he would have to wake up, just because I feel like it would add so much emotional pull that like, here's his dad who's been in limbo for such a period of time, and now his son's just dead. Like, I was thinking that Adam would have done something more there. So I was kind of disappointed by that, because I would have liked to have seen that, talking to other people too about the book.
I think that played into Mateo's emotions though too, and just being like, he had to learn how to say goodbye and let go to his dad, even though his dad's not there, and like he has to face the fact that his dad is going to wake up to a world without him, and like he can't look after him anymore. And I thought it added a lot to Mateo's emotional storyline, but it would have been cool to see his dad react to Mateo being gone and things like that.
Okay, so to answer some more questions, if you could pick a quote for your tombstone, what quote would you choose? You can choose one from a book, or you can make one up.
Like,
just in general, right? Like, not from TV Date?
Yeah, no, not from TV Date. Just like a quote, a book, like a quote from a book, or like make a quote up if you have something you say that you would want.
You guys go first. I have no idea.
I had a good one because I was thinking about this. Mine is, and it's a kind of a popular quote. I don't know exactly who said it, but it's like the one that's like, a reader lives a million lives before they die, but a person who never reads lives only one. Just because not only is that like me, but I feel like it sums up like my death in general, because it's like, yes, I'm dead, but like I've lived more lives because of like all the stories that I've read and the way that they've impacted me. Like being a reader, like that's just the perfect quote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh.
I have two. My first one is Cassandra Clare's quote, "Words have the power to change us."
Yeah.
I feel like that's just a very like universal quote that could apply to anybody, you know, words that people say, words that you read, and I feel like it, you know, works to help people understand that like things have an impact on you. And then my second thing would just be carry on. Like just keep moving, just keep swimming, like just keep going. I've always liked that. It's simple and it's straight to the point.
Yeah. I remember I thought about this a while ago, and I can't remember. I had something really deep and meaningful, but I can't remember what it was. But I have to go. Saturday Mass is honestly one of my all-time favorite authors, and I'd probably go with "Don't Let the Dark Days Win," because you're at a cemetery, and like that meaning can go so many different ways. And like if somebody's having such a bad day, like, or one of my family members comes and visits me, and it's just like, hey, today may be a bad day, but trust me, it will get better. I may be gone, but trust me, things will be better. You will be happy. And like, even if it's just a stranger that sees this quote, like, it can make a difference.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen a thing on Tumblr, like, to add a lighter note to this? There's a Tumblr that's like regretting all the ships that never sailed. People will think I'm poetic, but it's really
yes, that's what it was. That's what it was. That's what I wanted on my tombstone.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted on my tombstone.
Yeah, I thought that was just so funny.
Yeah, because it's like when you look at it, or when people look at it, the people that'll really get it and what'll really have meaning is the people who are like you, who understand like the reference and things behind it. So that's a good one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we kind of talked about this already. Moving on to another question. But it says, if you could pick one friend to spend your last day with, who would you choose? If you could pick one friend. Which is hard because, like...
Yeah, that's really hard.
Like, one friend, like, hey, you're my favorite.
Yeah. Like,
everybody else, like, sorry. Like, everyone else, bye, sorry, but, like...
I feel bad, like, answering.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be hard because, like, all my friends, it's different because I have a friend that I've known since, like, preschool, but we recently started, like, hanging out again. And a friend since third grade, and like a general friend group, and I have book friends. Like, it's so hard because all of my friend groups are so different from each other that it's hard to pick just one friend. But
can I say my therapist? Because like I know my therapist would make me live my last day to the fullest, and like honestly, that seems like such like a weird answer, but like I know she would just be like, this is what you should be doing, like this is how you should live every single day, even if it might do less. Like, just I know she would make me live my day to the fullest.
Yeah. How about we change this question up a little bit, because I know that this would be a little bit more fun to answer. How about if you could pick one author or like a celebrity to spend your last day with? So maybe do one author and one celebrity. Because I feel like it's both different. Because it's so hard to be picked like up between.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's definitely different between author and celebrity.
Oh, like okay, so like I want a famous author, obviously, to like know how their series can end. I don't know if like Saturday Mass or Cassandra Clare, like one of those two probably, and be like, hey, what's happening? What's all your secrets? These secrets will die with me.
Yeah, like, I would agree with you on Cassie Clare.
Because I feel like Sarah J. Maas is going to finish like her series soon enough, and I'm not as like worried about that. But definitely be Cassie or like Suzanne Collins, because the Hunger Games series is like the first series I ever read, and she's one of those authors that's like sort of hiding out there in the woods, and you like can't really hear from her much. So it'd be cool to spend the last day with her. As for celebrity,
oh God,
this is harder.
So many.
Because
like can I just grab the whole cast of Supernatural and Riverdale and like I don't know, all my childhood shows?
Together, can we take the whole cast?
You get one, I get the other. We all hang out.
Yeah. I like it. Well, I have a few answers to this because like Dylan O'Brien is my favorite celebrity of all time. So like obviously I'd want to spend whatever time I could with him. But at the same time I feel like Misha Collins from Supernatural would just like make your day so bright. Like he's just like this ball of sunshine. So I feel like he would make your last day like really meaningful and really exciting and still fun, but still be like emotional, you know? So
I would want to record an episode with them. Cause like just cause then like you know how many bloopers and amazing things would happen like in their improvisation. Like that's what I want to do. I want to record an episode of whatever TV show, Supernatural, and just like have all those bloopers and like have like that great time. Cause you see the bloopers of any TV show and you see how much fun they have. Like honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah.
And on a different note, I think my answer would be Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Not true.
My God. Like, I think the reason that he would just be, like, so perfect is because not only is he just, like, an incredibly uplifting and, like, heartwarming person who just generally wants to do good and is, like, the light that the world needs, he's also just, like, brilliant. Like, the way that he's able to create, like, the work that he did, like, Hamilton itself is, like, a work of art. And I don't think he's ever going to create something like that ever again because it's just such a masterpiece. So, like, to spend a day with someone like him also probably means you're going to be spending the day with other Hamilton cast members and, like, other Broadway people. So it's, like, win. Win-win. Yeah. Ooh, either that or, like, Ben Fankhauser from Newsies. Because I love Newsies, and Ben is precious because I love Baby. Because I love Broadway. Like, Broadway's my thing if it's not books. So, like, that. Charlie Puth is another one that comes to mind because I love all of his songs. Because he just released another song that's really good. Okay, moving on. So, another question. If you could come back as a ghost to observe your loved ones, would you? Not to scare them, but just to observe, like, to see what they're doing, like, once you're dead. So this is all coming from Sarah Powell.
These are hard questions, man. Like,
yeah, they're really bringing it today.
I
think I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would. I don't know what else you would do in like the afterlife.
You know,
honestly, like, you know, if I had the opportunity to see my family again, even if I'm not like physically there, I would probably take it.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that believe that too, that like your loved ones are watching over you and like that they're there protecting you. So that's a belief that people have, that, you know, that's something that the dead are capable of. So, I mean, I would too, because I feel like you'd want to know that your family members are okay and know that like everything is doing well.
I would go and like protect them, like not spook them, but like just make sure they have this sense of security.
Like, yeah.
Man, I had something else I wanted to bring up, but let's see.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you guys think that he handled the whole book in one day idea? Like, do you think he wrote it well, or do you think there could have been better things?
No, I think it was good, because I think that's like the entire point of the story is like it's supposed to take place in 24 hours because it's like you get that much time before your end day. And I think that like Rufus and Mateo, within the 24 hours or the time period that they get, that they're able to do like a decent amount of things. Like they go to Make a Moment and they go to like the karaoke bar and they go to like the World Museum and they go to like different places and like get to say goodbye to family members. Like they live out their last day to the fullest. And I think that it just kind of gives you a good way to reflect on your own life. Like if they're able to do this in the time period that they have, you know, what could we be doing each day? So I feel like it was good because it got me thinking about my own life, and it didn't feel like it was taking place within the span of one day, even though like, you know, that's the entire basis.
Yeah, like it was, I don't think anyone could have done it better. And like we got of 24 hours before you die. You get within 24 hours. You can die right a minute after they get the phone call. Something also very unexpected with the ending, like when you think he's gonna keep them alive, is when they beat the odds of how long they should be dead before. Like, they live longer than they are supposed to, and that was another like thing that like shuffled my mind. But like the whole 24 hours, and it was honestly, I don't think anyone could have done it better. It was just so good, so well written. It made me laugh, cry. It just like, it didn't, like Abby said, it didn't feel like a day. It felt like longer than a day, but it was a day. It was great.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think he did a really, really good job. Like you said, he couldn't have done it better. And it really didn't feel like a day. Like, I kept forgetting it was in a day. And then I would realize it. And I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. What did you guys think? This is another one of my questions, something that I was sort of thinking about when I was writing my review. Of all the different places and institutions that he created, like he created Deathcast, he created Make a Moment. There's the museum that lets you like travel around the world. There's the Last Friend app. All of these unique things that he created to help build his world. Did you guys think that they were written effectively, that they helped with the story and moving it along? Was there a specific place that you really liked that added to the story really well, or something that you just like appreciated in terms of Adam's world building and the way that he was able to create all these places to add to the story?
I think he has definitely improved in his writing and his world building, because if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but in More Happy, he really only had the one like place that erased your memories, and that was it. Everything else was the same. So in this world, obviously, like, you know, if people know when they're going to die, the world is going to be different. But I liked that he added all those different details. Like, he could have just put one place, but he chose not to. And I think they were all written very well, and they all had a purpose in the story. And my personal favorite was probably the travel thing, especially when they like went to that waterfall and everybody was like swimming and diving. I just thought that was a really cool thing that you could experience on your last day.
Yeah. All the different like places, like, yeah, you could see his world building. It was taking place in a modern world, but then you have these like high-tech things. And so it's sci-fi, but like it's like the now almost. Like more things, but still the same. And so like you could really like, you could picture things really easily in your mind, like you're not having robots for hands or whatever. And there's apps for everything. Like, they had The Last Friend, and I remember they had like the Last Hookup app or whatever. And that made me laugh. And like you, Molly, I think probably the travel place is like my favorite thing. I also really liked the Last Friend app. Like, just like you just want to have one person to be with you. Like, except I didn't like I personally wouldn't be able to handle like staying alive while the person I'm hanging out with dies. Like, that was like the one thing I just wasn't the biggest fan of. Not because like it was like bad, but like I don't get how someone could handle that, like constantly making new friends, but then constantly watching them die. So like I thought that was an interesting feature. I thought it was interesting that like it wasn't just two people about to die. It was a person that was about to die, and then a person that could have lived longer. And so I think like maybe it's gonna get deep here, but like maybe by that, like when he invited another like a living friend, is for that person, the living person, to keep telling their stories. And I thought that was like really, really an interesting thing that I wasn't expect actually.
Yeah. I think for me, I definitely liked the world building. Like, Adam definitely seemed to grow more as an author, just because there was all these different institutions and all these things that he had to build upon. I feel like all of them were developed really well and had some contribution to the story, because you are living in this new world, so there are going to be repercussions. I think one of the things that I liked the most is that with the creation of the Last Friend app, we get to see the point of view of the creator of that app.
Oh, and yes.
Working with Facebook and Twitter to help create a function that's called like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like your last message or whatever. And so Facebook and Twitter, you're able to program what you want your last message to be. And that will go out on your end day or like when you die, so that can be your last message, so that you don't die. Like, especially if you're someone like a creator with like one of those retweet for a DM full of blah, 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 something like stupid, like you have a meaningful last tweet, like your way to go out to the world and like send your last message. I really, really liked that. Just because I thought it was really beautiful. And it was funny because when I went to Adam Simon's event, he said that he created that because that's one of his legitimate fears when he's flying. Is like, and he thinks about, because he's had a little bit of fear flying. Like he said that was something that terrified him, that he like once took a train ride that was like 60 plus hours, I think, across the country because he was so terrified to get on a plane. And now obviously he has to do it with touring and everything. But every time that like a plane shakes or something, he freaks out because and automatically thinks like, what was my last tweet? Because that's something that freaked him out. So I thought that was interesting that played into the story. But I loved like all the different places that he created just because they were all so unique. And I talk about that a little bit more in my review, but I just thought that they were interesting and I thought it added a lot to the story.
I'm totally being cliche here, but I feel like we have to do this. We have to make this usually a usual thing. Hogwarts houses.
Okay.
Let's get into
that's
it.
what Sarah just asked. So I was like, yeah, we have to do that because that's a normal thing. Mateo, Hufflepuff. Do you think he's
yeah.
I feel like they talk about Hogwarts houses possibly in this book. I don't know. So I'm like,
I don't remember.
I feel like they talk about Harry Potter at least. Possibly.
Yeah.
Probably.
It has to. Like that would be an Adam Silvera thing to do.
Yeah.
Are we thinking Rufus and Gryffindor?
I was thinking possibly Gryffindor, Slytherin, because
Slytherin. I just
cunning.
lean towards Slytherin.
Because I was thinking he's cunning. I feel like when we first meet him in the book, he's beating up somebody else like to a pulp, like
That's
that.
True. That's true.
Slytherin-esque, and I feel like he's ambitious in the fact that like he's riding on his bike without a helmet on, and he's like he does a little bit of risky stuff like throughout the book, and that's kind of very ambitious considering his circumstances, you know.
Yeah, I think I definitely say Slytherin too, because like just like he could be ambitious, like he's ambitious towards certain things. I feel like, but like people that is ambition towards grades, but like more towards like he wants to get something done and he'll do it, like something he's really passionate about.
Yeah, that's more Slytherin. Let's.
What other characters are there? Honestly,
his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend.
Rufus's ex-girlfriend, Amy.
Yeah.
She seems like a Ravenclaw, possibly, just because she seems sort of smart and like well put together. I mean, I don't know how she ended up with the people that she did, obviously considering like the conditions, like the people she's associating with, but like, I don't know. You don't get a lot of her, so it's hard.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't say Gryffindor or Hufflepuff because I feel like she could like she seems very like cowardly to me. Like she won't talk to Rufus straight to his face. Am I making that up or something? I don't know. But I just felt like she wouldn't like give Rufus a straight answer. And like Hufflepuff, because like she went with this guy that she knows Rufus has beef with. Like that's not really a loyal thing to do, I feel like. And she just broke up with him on the couch like when she was leaving. They should try to stay together a little longer. As much as I love Mateo and Rufus, but like as well as their story goes.
Yeah.
I don't think there are any other characters.
I mean, there's the other Plutos, but then again, it's like it's hard to sort all of these little minor characters because they don't really get a lot of like screen time. Like there's Malcolm and Tago. Who are the other Plutos?
I say Hufflepuff because they were so loyal to him. Like they were
really were
by the cops.
Yeah.
They had his back.
Like they went to jail for him.
Yeah. Then there's Peck, who is the other gang member. Now that I'm remembering that correctly, I would say Slytherin because he also seems ambitious. Like he's set on finding Rufus, especially after what happened. Like wanting revenge. That's a Slytherin.
Oh, I just popped into my mind. This is not part of the Hogwarts, but the guy Mateo was talking about really early in the book how he gave his shoes to the one guy.
Oh yeah, he pops up later on in the book.
Yes. Right. He was part like of the gang Peck was in, and I was like so like my mind just exploded. I
remember reading that and being like, oh my god, because
like, everything comes full circle. Like it's a circle. Like everything. Like Adam. Like even with those two girls on the subway, like they just brush past each other, and now one girl that one girl on the subway, the one that was still living, she's the one who did the art of the Last Friend app, and that's how Mateo found the Last Friend app. And so like everything is there for a reason. Like Adam doesn't.
Yeah,
like,
he did a brilliant job of
something
developing
there.
all of that. Like all the characters are so well
everything
put
had a
together.
purpose.
Okay. So then, what else? Okay, sort of moving on from the Hogwarts houses. Pick a song to represent the book and explain why you picked it.
I had a song. Can't remember what it was again. Hello Darkness, my old friend. The very sad song, you know that song? Like honestly,
That's
like
so Adam Silvera.
I'm trying to look at songs because I don't have any ideas.
Sad songs about life.
There have to be songs about life that are like about living in one day.
I had a dream so big and loud. I jumped it high, I touched the clouds. Well, what's that song?
I know what song you're talking about.
It's by Green Day, I think. Is it?
No.
I don't know. Day of My Life.
Best Day of My Life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like it's a happier song.
Or All on Top of the World by
Oh yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say those. Which is weird because it's like such a heartbreaking book, and we're picking
But these are such lighthearted
happy
songs.
But yeah, I would say either of those.
Oh, look how far we've come! I feel like I believe da 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 da.
Oh,
that
yes,
song.
Yeah.
Like these are such like not older, but like late 2000 songs.
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I feel like they're very happy, but they fit the book so well with the concept of it's living your life in a day.
Yeah.
Like so good.
Like in the book, when Rufus and Mateo were going to that karaoke bar, they sang American Pie, which I think like Adam. And they also mentions that like Mateo liked Vienna by Billy Joel, Tomorrow by Elliott Smith, Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen.
Your Song by Elton John.
Some of those songs when like is good. Because that's the one thing that's nice about the book is like you can get playlist out of it because there are songs that Adams mentions in it.
Yeah, I love Elton John. Like when they started singing karaoke, I was like, "Bye, bye, Miss American Pie." And then when yeah, I'm so much better. But anyway, and then when they started singing Your Song, Our Song, something like that, I was like kind of crying because like you don't know if he has such a good like. I feel like you can tell his notes are some off key, but the fact that like he loves singing, and I love that he loves singing, and even before it was in front of Rufus,
he got up to go and he got to go even like up in front of a crowd because I think he could have like he wanted to be a singer. Like if he had more time, he could have probably gotten professionally trained. He could have probably done that for a living because it seemed like that was what his passion was. So I like that he got to do that, and I loved that he had like a passion for music, and even though like he was afraid that he was able to break down that wall. All right. So do you want to fan cast the characters? That's another question that we have, and explain why we chose who we chose.
Oof. Ooh, that's hard. I kind of hate fan casting, honestly. I'm not one
because I don't picture like I just picture like the characters. I don't picture them as actual people.
Yeah, same.
So it's like really hard. Yeah. Like unless I make a person if someone takes the image from my mind and takes it like and finds that person, like fan casting doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, it's hard. I can't come up with anything on my own. If somebody like put a picture in front of me, like I could be like yes or no, but I can't really come up with anything.
Like on my own, right? Because the one thing though was like if like a book comes into a movie and they start to cast people, that's where then you can be like yes, no, maybe. It's easier to do when you have a cast put in front of you and they go about doing that process for yourself rather than like having to sort of come up with it on your own because it's hard. You think about the actor like and their ability and also like what is the script going to be like if it was adapted because like if the script changes like the actor that they may need could change. So there's a lot of like variables there. And this book is also so different because you would have so many different people who are involved. Like you have Rufus and Mateo, but you have all of these other minor characters that play in too.
Yeah.
That, you know, could be
I feel like it would be a hard movie or a hard book to adapt.
Yeah, because there's so much going on. But I think the fun thing about it, if they were to do this really well, is that for all these tiny little minor characters, if they decided that they wanted to have that be a part of the story, they could do just like crazy guest appearances with all these like insane celebrities to come in and like be in that minor role, because there would be like maybe one day worth of filming and let them film their one scene that they like play into the story and go, like you'd be able to have like so many people involved in the project, and like you would draw a lot of people then to the story.
That would be cool. There's one person that's popping into my head. I don't know who he would play. Probably Mateo, but Tyler Posey from Teen Wolf.
Oh, hold on, I gotta look up an image of him. I know the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like he might fit that role. Like he might not, but he might. You know.
I see it.
Honestly, if I have to, I kind of imagine him as one of the Plutos, like either
I could see that.
I see a picture of him. I see like he gives that vibe, like he like don't mess with me, but also sweet and lovable.
Yeah. Because the one thing about this book, I get to mention this before, is that They Both Die at the End was the first book to debut #5 on the New York Times bestseller list, with 2 characters that identify in the LGBTQIA+ area that are also they're of a colored race. So like I believe that Rufus is,
I think, Cuban
American. One of them is Cuban American, and then the other is, I believe,
Mateo's Puerto Rican. Mateo's Puerto Rican, and Rufus is Cuban American.
Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, Mateo's Puerto Rican and Rufus is Cuban American. He's also bisexual. So that's cool to see.
It's so sad that Mateo never really came out. He never really got to tell his dad that he was gay.
Yeah, obviously, his dad was in a coma, but like, yeah, he never got to fully come out. Like, he had like that short a period of time of like.
Oh, you know what?
Finding himself. So it's,
another thing Adam made was the last like call or whatever, I forget what it's called, but like the person who was about to die like got to call a person like one last time and like FaceTime or something. And I remember Mateo's really good friend, the one with the child. I
think her name's Lydia, right?
Lydia, yes.
Oh, her boyfriend died. Like that was kind of heartbreaking. Like her boyfriend just like recently died, and then her best friend's gonna die, and like it's just like
I really liked her character.
Yeah, I thought she was really sweet.
Yeah.
I liked how she played in the story because she was there for Mateo, through everything that was going on. Even though he tried to shut himself away from her and like didn't want to tell her what was going on, like she found him in the end, and they got to spend like their moments together, like in the museum and the karaoke bar and everything, and they got to have a goodbye, which was.
Yeah, honestly, I'm about to start. Like, you know what? Rufus never really got to say goodbye. Like that. Like he wanted. That was the one thing he wanted. He wanted to say goodbye.
That hurt really bad.
Yeah, I'm like gonna start crying. Honestly. Yeah. Because.
Yeah, that hurt. That like they were such a big part of his life, and he tried so many times, and he always got ripped away from them, and like they just meant so much to each other that it like really hurt. But it also is like they knew that they loved each other, and they knew that they would always have each other's back. So I think like they knew, but it would have been nice to see it.
Yeah. So. Do you guys think that this would be about a movie, TV show, musical?
I
think that it would probably work best as a movie, because I feel like with a television show, the whole thing about it is that it's ongoing, and because it just takes place in one day.
Yeah,
the movie is very instantaneous. It's able to just sort of encapsulate it all. And I don't know.
Or maybe like a mini. Sorry to cut you off, but like maybe a mini series. Like they just film like throughout the whole day, and like just like not like a one take necessarily, but like something like they just continue shooting and like have like 15-minute episodes and like have 5 episodes or something like that. Like so like that way like, you break it up a little.
I think a movie would be best, but a mini series would work too.
Yeah, I feel like a musical wouldn't necessarily work because there's so much going on. That there is the aspect with Mateo, but like that can fit really easily like into a movie or a television show. I feel like a musical just like it's hard to adapt books into musicals unless there's just something about them. And I feel like with a lot of YA novels, that's just not the case. It just doesn't really happen. It's hard to make that a thing. Like, it could possibly be a play, but like,
yeah,
I don't think so
I could
much.
see maybe a play.
It could work, but I feel like because you have all the different characters, like points of views and things, and it's just so different the way that it's written, like I think a movie would work best because you'd be able to edit it all together and it would work better. So this is kind of going to modify this question. Would you want to sort of live in the world of TB Date? So would you want to be able to get a call and notify you on the day you die? So
honestly, no. Yeah, no. Nope. Because like I try to live like my life every single day to the fullest. So like if I were to die like randomly, I'd rather not get a call and like be worrying about when I'm gonna die. I just feel like living my day and like it just happens. Like
yeah. I mean, that's what I thought at first until I read this book, and then it got me thinking, and I'm like, would I want to know? Because if you know, like, you kind of are just like, okay, it's game over, and you get to live out your last day, and you can do something about it, because there's so many people that have their last day and they're not able to do anything. You know, like they could have a really shitty last day because they're not able to be able to prepare themselves. But if you could know, and you're like in relatively healthy condition, you could go out there and you could like do something really magical, and you could live your last day and make it your last and make it something memorable, rather than living normally and then like not being able to do anything because you just don't see it coming. So it definitely got me thinking, but like I feel like it'd be weird to live in that type of world, and it'd be a lot of like stress and quite terrifying to have that type of knowledge constantly floating around in the back of your head. But I don't know. I feel like it'd be interesting. If you knew, I feel like you'd be able to create more impactful moments, like a more long-lasting final day, something more memorable.
Yeah, I think it would give me too much anxiety if I knew. I feel like it would ruin my day almost, because even though I know like I should be living it to the fullest, I don't know when it's going to happen. So I could be on my, like, I would be kind of like Mateo in the way that like I could do something spectacular and I could die on the way. Like, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Like, if it happens, it happens. But don't tell me it's going to happen eventually, because I can't handle the anxiety of it.
Okay. Let's see what else.
The awkward moment of silence.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of things.
Me too. Like I feel like we covered everything, but like it was like I can't even my mouth into words. Like it just like some things you just can't describe, like how good it is and like how devastating it is, and that's this book. And let's talk about the cover.
Yeah, the cover.
Like,
I think the
how
cover
much they incorporate into it.
Really interesting, because you have the Grim Reaper down here, for those of you guys that didn't notice. And there's the skull on top. This was something that took me forever to find, and I finally found it. But like, there's the eyes that are the two clouds here, and then the nose.
I just noticed the
here.
skull. I was like, I know there's one up here, but I've never seen it before.
And so it's, and then,
and I feel like I think there's something else, but I can't remember what.
I know those are the big two. Yeah. But I love the spine too. It's just so shiny.
Right, and then you go open to the first page
cover.
Here.
And this. That is gorgeous.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I just love the colors too.
And it's like the black with just like the silver spine. It's very simplistic. It's pretty.
Yes, it is. Like honestly, but I feel like also they're in like they live in New York. Like just most like all of Adam's other books, they live in New York, so they have so much they can do. More like in the middle of Texas or whatever, and so there's nothing you can really do. And so like they have these opportunities, but like what happened if other people didn't have these opportunities? What would they do? Like
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of then all depends on what you think you would do with your last day, because those people who probably don't live in a place like Chicago or New York that's like a bigger city, um, they would, find your own opportunities. And I think that's the beautiful thing about this book is depending on who you are, you're going to live your last day differently. But it makes you think about the importance of living your last day and like living each day to the fullest and doing something good for other people. Like I love this point in the book when Rufus and Mateo are eating out and they just go and they tip the waitress like a very exorbitant amount because they're going to die. They're not going to need the money anymore. So they're using it and they're giving back to somebody else. And I just love the message that's sent there with doing all of these like wonderful like acts of kindness and just being able to help people out, like using your last day or using your days to do something good. Do you guys have a favorite quote from the book?
Ooh, I always mark up my books. I do that, and I'm just gonna go through my marked up sections. So when they said I loved you to each other, I feel like
that was really beautiful. Yeah.
It was like oh my god, like don't rush the I love you. Like I'm like not one for too cheesy, but like I understand why they had to say I love you so quickly. And it didn't seem like they'd known each other for a day. It seemed like it felt like they'd known each other for like years. And so like I was okay with the I love you. And when they were saying I love you to each other, it was so sweet and it was beautiful.
Yeah, that whole scene was amazing.
Another thing I just remembered was Rufus's Instagram, how he always used to post in black and white, and then he posted it in color, and I thought that was really beautiful too.
That was really cool.
I'm so happy I did purple tabs. Like, look, it matches the aesthetic.
Yay! I'm looking through Goodreads through quotes because I'm actually like that. There's one that says stories can make someone immortal as long as someone else is willing to listen. That's really beautiful. There's so many good quotes in this book, and I feel like that's the great thing about Adam and the way that he's able to write is his book is filled with like these really beautiful quotes, like things that stick with you, and then there's like lots of humor and things that are able to be like a comedic relief factor, and then you have these really sad moments. Like his writing is just like so raw and genuine and real, and it's just there's everything in his books, which is one of the reasons why I love them, because they're just so addicting and just you fall in love with them because there's so much there for you. This is sort of like the tagline in the book. It says, but no matter what choices we make solo or together, our finish line remains the same. No matter how we choose to live, we both die at the end.
Yeah, I that one's like so good. It makes you cry, and like the tagline of most of his books, but this book especially, it's like something that sticks with you. And like this book, you can take a lot from. Like you have to live your day every day like it's your last day.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's like one particular quote that is just like screaming at me, but there's just so many beautiful scenes in this book that I would have to go with like scenes more than specific quotes.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite scene then to sort of expand onto that?
There were a lot of good ones. I liked the bird scene and I liked that end scene where they, were talking. I think my favorite scene was the waterfall though. I just really liked that.
That was definitely one of them for me, the bird scene. And then I liked the moment where Rufus was talking to Mateo's father, because I just thought that was really beautiful. Yeah. So, like, here's this man he's never even met, but it's like his boyfriend's son, and like thinking about it. It also was sort of like a very sad and depressing parallel, because it's almost like a husband and a wife are like just like a couple together, like before they're about to get married, like having the like other couple, the other half of the couple be able to talk to the parent of the person that they're marrying and sort of just be like, I'm going to be there for your son. I'm going to take care of him. And I've been there with him. Like, it felt like Rufus was sort of reassuring Mateo's father of that like he was being in good hands, and it was just such a really, really beautiful scene, and it just like showed like it wasn't even insta-lovey at all. Like this relationship that they formed was real, not only because of the tension behind them, the circumstances behind it, but the fact that these people had a genuine connection and were sharing something that no other two people could really have, which felt very Hunger Games-esque, like with Katniss and Peeta have in a way, so I liked that.
Yeah, it's the question is, like, I always go through this with my friend, like, what if we hadn't become friends at this point? Like, do you guys think that their paths would have crossed and, like, they would have became friends? What do you guys think about that?
I don't know, because it's reflected so much in the book how, you could pass somebody on the street that's had this effect on you and you wouldn't even know. And I think it could either go where their paths would cross and it would just be a happier ending than what they had now, or they could have just walked by each other on the street and they could have been one of those side stories that was like, oh, like that guy was attractive, and then they like move on with their lives. So I think it could have gone either way.
Yeah. Because it's sort of interesting now that you bring that up to like think about what if these characters had ever crossed paths before, like what if Rufus and Mateo had met before and like crossed each other in New York City and just never knew about it. And it wasn't until they actually took the time to use the Last Friend app, like find each other's profiles to like really connect. And it just gets you thinking like how many people have you crossed path with in your life that you may have affected or connected to in some way, shape, or form and not known about it. And it makes you just really think about how your actions affect other people. And I love that because there's so many things that you can get out of this book and just like how you live each day, not only morally, but just like what decisions are you making with your own life and how do you feel about how you're living each day. And it's just a really good message to send and a really good thing to think about because sometimes you really don't think about it unless you take the time to like sit down and really like take that reflective moment to think about it. One more question. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sending in so many lovely questions because they really get us thinking. If Adam wrote another book in the same world but with different characters, do you think that it would be a good idea, or do you think you guys are satisfied with just this one book?
Satisfied. Yeah. Honestly, like, I wouldn't be able to handle another book like this. No. But, like, he just ended it on such a good note.
Yeah, good.
But it was very, like, because, like, I feel like you kind of know what's going to happen if he were to write another book in this world.
Right, because you have the characters that have to die at the end. And I feel like what he's created is just something you can't replicate because the world itself is so different that you can't live like within the same world once. Like there are authors like Cassandra Clare is one of them that's able because of the way that she builds her world, there's more to develop on. But I feel like with Adam and the stories that he creates, they're best one and done because he creates this beautiful world. He tells his story, you live within the world. And particularly with this one, you get to see so many different people's point of view that it really feels like the story in the world in itself is fleshed out, that you get to see a lot of it. And I felt really satisfied with what we got. I feel like it'd be hard to replicate it. And if anything, like you wouldn't want to read another book like that. Because I do love the world. And I think it's one of my favorites that Adam has created. But just like, it'd be too depressing to read another one. And it feel like it'd be hard to replicate it because it'd just be like going through the motions. It'd be the same sort of thing. You really isn't a lot you could do to make it unique because this first book already exists.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like it would be pretty repetitive if you tried to do it again. And like you said, the world was very fleshed out because you did get to see other situations and other scenarios and other characters. So I don't think there's much that he could expand upon.
Yeah. I just want to jump back real quick to the favorite quotes. I was just looking through my tabs. And one thing was Howie, one of the big famous guys. He said, thank you for this life. And like it's short but it's sweet, and I thought that was like if you were to have last words, that's what you wanted to be. And then I also found this other one. I think it was when they're at the karaoke bar, and it's the Pluto shake hands with Mateo and Lydia. Solar systems are colliding, and I thought that was just so cool because they're Pluto, and it was just like I really like that.
Yeah, that is cool.
Because they're each like different, yeah.
I'd like to talk about, like, you mentioned before how this story wasn't insta-lovey at all, and I agree with you on that. Like, one of my biggest pet peeves in books is when relationships feel insta-lovey because Like, it's just not realistic. But in this book, even though they only knew each other for less than 24 hours, it was so real, and it wasn't insta-lovey at all. And I also liked how at the beginning, they didn't just stumble across each other on the Last Friend at first. Like, he went through other people that were terrible to him and were just looking for like a last hookup or things like that. And like, it took them a while to finally connect, and then they built that relationship. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Right. And I feel like that's sort of the one thing that I liked about the Last Friend app, to talk about that a little bit more, is that it felt like very real to a lot of the social media apps that we know in today's society, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, in the fact that someone can always take something that's really good, that's meant to be positive. Like with Twitter, you can have people you can talk to, celebrities or people that really mean a lot to you, or like talk with people halfway across the country and be able to have conversations about things, or like Instagram, be able to post, like, share a part of your life, take good things about these applications and turn them into something negative with like spam content or just like inappropriate material. And it just felt very realistic, like how it's society, regardless of like what the circumstances are, when you're living in a world where you have 24 hours left, you think people would try to like be better people, knowing that like their end date could come at any time. But even then, people are always going to take like something positive and try to turn it into a negative, or like people that are going to be there and do those sorts of things. And it just felt very real to like society and the way that people behave, that those things will never change.
I like how the fact that your fate was set in stone. Like, even if you like, you think you could avoid death by like hiding in your room, but like in reality, like your stove could set on fire. And like, I like things like that like mess with my mind. Like thinking like you could do a loophole, but like whoever made this plan is already 10 steps ahead of you and knows your thought process, and like knows exactly what you're going to do and try to avoid and stuff like that.
Okay, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you guys. Do you think that it would be interesting, or would you like to have seen Adam explore how Deathcast knows what they do, like where they get their information from? Because he touches on it a little bit and just sort of addresses the fact that like this institution exists and they have to do, like, the people who work here are relatively robotic. Like, they have to be almost like soulless because they're having to make these calls to people. Like, they mentioned that one of the people who works there and makes all these calls made a call to a mother whose like daughter was going to die, and her mother was like in complete and entire distress, like was sobbing hysterically on the phone. So like circumstances and instances like that, the fact that the things that these people have to go through, how do they get the information that they do? Would you like to have seen that explored like in the novel at all, and figure out like how they get the information that they do?
I don't think I would have wanted to see it in this novel. I think it would be a cool idea for maybe a novella, not a full book, but a novella just touching on that, because it is a very interesting concept. But I don't think I would have liked to see it in this book, because I didn't want to take away from like Rufus and Mateo's story, and I feel like that would have gotten really technical, and it would have, you know, kind of changed the story a little bit. But it would be something I'd like to see eventually.
Yeah, because he could have initially line around and sort of been like, these two characters find out they get a call from Deathcast, but how is it that they find out like the information that they do? Like, that could be another story if he was to create a sequel, like have these two characters get a call and then be like, okay, what if we team up together and try to find out, like, make that what you're going to do on your end day, and try to like spread the message out and like let people know before they die, like be able to do something good. That would be, I think, would be interesting. But it was just something that I was thinking about because there's mentions of it, and I'm like, how does this company find out? Like, how would you know or find that information out? I just think it's so interesting.
Yeah, like it's things like that like blow my mind. Like things like time travel. Like, I believe in a set path. Like you can't have any loopholes or anything like that. It's just like, here's this. You think you're doing like this or whatever, but your reality, it's just like, it's the whole plan. You're doing exactly what the plan tells you to. Like, things, I can't wrap my mind around things like that.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like Adam himself probably like wouldn't even know where to begin too. And
probably,
that's sort of brilliant about what he wrote, is not only like not knowing there's just this company that exists and they're able to know all of this information about you. Like they know when your day is coming. Like that's very creepy. And so it adds a lot of tension to the story. And it just makes the world so much more dark. And I feel like that's like efficient, you know, with the world.
They know how the person dies, right? They just don't tell them. I think they like Death Cast knows.
They know.
I don't think they know. I just think that they know your day. Like they don't know when, they don't know where, they don't know why, but they just know like you're gonna die
that you're dying
this day. They don't know the time either. I don't think. It's just like you have 24 hours. Today's the day. Prepare yourself.
Yeah. You know, also because this book is full of heartbreak. Another really heartbreaking thing was when they showed both like Mateo's backstory being like his mother, and like how he proposed on the bathroom floor, and then Rufus's family, which like they just had. It was heartbreaking. Like they're passing the phone around to each person, being like, "These 3 people are gonna die." And Mateo's reaction, like Rufus's reaction, like he was like, "I'm like all alone. Like everyone else is gone," and like he blames himself kind of because like his family, all of his family members reached the door for him because he's the only one that didn't get the call. And it was just such a devastating moment. And in that moment, like they knew that was the thing that made me so upset. Like they didn't even try. They were just like, okay, this is it. And they all just accepted it, but they helped him get out because they knew that he wasn't going to die. And that just, it was so sad. But I thought it was really beautiful then. But at the end of the novel, and they were able to go to the waterfall, and Rufus got in the water, and like he swam, showing that breakthrough, that was something really beautiful that he was able to go through on his end day. Like conquering fears and everything, just like what a way to live like your last day, to be able to go full circle. Character development. With The Hate You Give, there is a lot of character development, even with the minor characters. But in this one, there was character development, but we didn't have enough time to see all that character development. Yeah. Like there could have been even more, but you definitely saw character development within Mateo and Rufus. Like Rufus, he opened his eyes up more and like started like trusting people. And then Mateo, like he opened up himself to everyone. He wasn't like just hid in his room. He like opened up to Rufus and like told him like they trusted each other. And we saw the character development. I'm huge on character development. Yeah, the character development between the two of them, like the characters behind us, like whatever, like the minor characters, like we didn't have enough time for their character developments. Like The Hate You Give, you had so much character development, even for the minor characters. But this book, it was just the 2 main characters, but you definitely could see character development.
For sure.
All right, one last question. So if you guys want to like wrap it up, send in your final last-minute questions.
I have a question from Shannon.
Okay, go ahead.
She said, if you were going to die today, what would be the last book you'd read that you keep putting off?
Ooh, okay, so like not a book that we have read already.
Like when you've been putting off. I'm looking at like I have a whole stack of books over here that I haven't read, but I feel like
This is hard.
I know, like I feel like there's a whole bunch of series that like I haven't read. Like I haven't read the Lunar Chronicles.
You haven't?
Ooh, no. That's a good one.
Yeah, like because I haven't read the Lunar Chronicles. I haven't read the Shatter Me at all, so I need to read that. Like, there's a lot. Like, I could probably make an entire video about popular YA series I haven't read just because I've come to the game so late and just never gotten a chance to pick it up. So, like, if you want to see that, comment because that's probably something I should do because there's so many that I haven't read that I've just put off because I've never gotten to it and now I'm coming to the game late. So, but I feel like on my last day I would not have time to start a series, so I'd have to think of like a standalone that I've been putting off reading.
Yeah. And, I don't know.
Because I feel like I've read all the books I've needed to read, like that I've been putting off. Like, so there's nothing like in my face like you need to read. Maybe All American Boys.
Right, and like all the books that I know in my face I need to read, like I'm going to read very, very soon. So it's hard to think because I don't know what my end day is going to be. Like I have just sort of like this mindset of like I'm going to accomplish and read all the books I want to read.
Nobody just saw me fall there, right? We're just making sure. I almost fell my chair. I was trying to take a shot.
Yeah, I have no idea. Because I don't know if I'd want like a happy book because, you know, it's my last day. or if I'd want something like relatable, or if I'd want to try and finish a series. Like, I don't know.
Oh my god, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I'd probably reread a book. I'd probably either read the two
I think I would too.
Favorite books are like either like they're like my favorite book of all time. It's The Bad Boy and the Tomboy. It's so cliche and cheesy, but like I relate to the main character so much. And that book is like 900 pages plus. So that's my whole day. Yeah, and then or I read A Court of Mist and Fury, which is like 600 pages, no, like 600 or 700 pages plus. Yeah. So don't have any small books I want to read. Yeah. Except there's what's the book called? I forget what the book was called, but it was a book I loved as a child. Like, it was my favorite book of all time. I love how I don't know the name. Ramona Blue. No, not Ramona Blue. No, I don't remember. It's something blue. I don't remember. I see the kick cover in my mind, but I used to read it, like, I reread it every single, like, once every 5 months. Like, I might reread that to take me back to my childhood.
Yeah, I think I would have to reread a book, and I would either reread Looking for Alaska, because the amount of quotes in that book that I can relate to, and that just, like, really, you know, it's just about life and, like, living your life and learning how to deal with grief and things. I feel like it would be helpful. And or City of Bones, because it's like my all-time favorite series, so I feel like I'd have to revisit it.
But yeah, like, I definitely want to read the Cassandra Clare. Like, I'd find one of her books and just, like, immerse myself into it because I love her book so much. But, like, maybe possibly I would read They Both Die at the end, because if I'm going to be living in that type of world, like, it would just be some inspiration to be, like, going to quickly read through this book because it's actually kind of short, and then, like, go out there and live my day, like, to get some inspiration. I don't know. But I feel like this book probably wouldn't exist if I was living in a world like this book.
Yeah.
That would just be too weird, unless we're establishing the precedent that Adam can predict the future, which would be pretty epic.
I wouldn't be surprised if anybody could do it.
I think that is Adam, yeah. All right, so any last minute questions? We can wrap it up in a few minutes. If you guys want to announce our October and November books to give people some time to get reading. So our October pick of the month is, I don't actually have a copy yet. My copy is coming in the mail tomorrow. It was supposed to come today, and it didn't, and I'm kind of bitter about it. But we're reading Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is John Green's, newest release.
I thought we were reading Shadowshaper.
This is one of the things we're still deciding about, so that's why I'm announcing them both at the same time, because we'll have more details if we decide to switch them or reverse them. But our next two books, at least for October and November, is Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This book's a contemporary story. It's John Green's first release in 6 years, and a big part of it has to do with mental illness and deals with OCD and thought spirals, and the main character goes through those types of things where she has all these compulsive thoughts and things that sort of drag her down, and having to deal with that and how that affects her life. And it's something that John Green himself goes through, so it's a little bit of an own voices novel for the fact that this is something he can really personally relate to and connect to. And I feel like that was an exciting book to read, also because it's John Green, so it's like something really exciting to discuss. So we'll be reading that, and then November we'll be reading or October, depending on what we decide, and more of this will be coming soon, live show dates, all that good stuff. Shadowshaper by Daniel Jose Older. This is the first book. The second book just came out recently, and this is described as being like the Mortal Instruments series. And you have characters, I believe, Puerto Rican character, possibly.
I think so.
Maybe? Yeah. And then, like, it's very heavily based on, like, not folklore, like, their, I don't know, their culture, kind of, not really, but, like, different.
It's very culture based.
Yes. Yes. So, let us know which one you'd rather read this month, October, and, like, that would definitely influence us.
Yeah, so maybe we'll put, like, a Twitter poll up, or we'll figure something out and sort of decide. But those are the two books we'll be reading within the next 2 months. So we'll figure that
2
out
months.
and have more details coming soon. I believe we have one more question that was sent in because I just got another Twitter notification. Okay. Yeah, all right. I think that about covers everything. Yes.
Yes, I think so too.
This was a good discussion.
Yes.
I feel like we covered a lot of things within this wonderful book. And I'm just really happy for Adam that he debuted on the New York Times bestseller list, that he was able to have such a milestone with having this be a book with 2 LGBTQIA characters that are of a colored race, just because it's sort of like sad in a way, like it's bittersweet. Like I'm happy that Adam was able to be the one that sort of made that milestone, but in the same time, it's also kind of sad because it's like
it took so long
out there that are like that just haven't gotten the attention, or there aren't enough books out there to even get the attention. So the fact that it's not there and it's not making the type of headlines is kind of sad, but like I'm glad that Adam was the first one to do it because I love his books and I feel like if there's anyone that's going to do it well, it's him. So congrats to Adam for this fantastic novel. I'm so glad I got to discuss it. We had an amazing discussion. Thank you all of you for joining and asking questions. And make sure you join us to discuss Turtles All the Way Down and Shadowshaper. Let us know which one you want us to read in October, November, and more information on that will be coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye, guys.